Well, chaps. Well, today we have an article here in The Guardian, my favourite newspaper, as you all know, by a chap called Jonathan Ben Manachem, who is a student, PhD student apparently, in America studying sociology with particular reference to US politics. And he is whinging about Trump's policy of deporting illegal immigrants and criminals. This opinion piece is titled, "What is a Criminal Immigrant? The word is an American rhetorical trap." Anyway, he says last month the Trump administration flew 238 Venezuelan immigrants to a brutal prison in El Salvador. Federal officials allege that the detainees were members of the Tren de Agua gang, calling them heinous monsters, criminal aliens, the worst of the worst. The federal government has also revoked visas for thousands of international students over their alleged participation in protests against Israel's genocide in Palestine. Some were abducted, like Mohammed Khalil, who spent more than a month in incarceration in one of the worst jails in the US. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he goes on to say, the next paragraph says, media reports quickly revealed that the Trump administration is lying about innocent people to justify abducting them. He gives no background facts or evidence for this statement other than it's a media report. And we all know what media reports are like. He goes on to say, it raises a more important question. If Trump's victims were innocent, does that make them disposable? Basically, he goes on to say that even people who have carried out some pretty heinous things deserve human rights. This is the bleeding heart liberal crap. That nobody should be ever punished for anything. They should all be treated with kid gloves, etc., etc. He's a typical product of Western education, Western university education. When I say Western, I mean it's not just in America, it's in the UK, it's in France, it's in Germany, it's everywhere. The deep state, one of the first things they targeted was the education system. I hate to say, everybody always, whenever anybody criticises their their opponents or their enemies, they always tend to liken them to Hitler. But in this case, it's very similar in a sense to the Hitler Jugend. Now, the Nazis knew that if they got people young, it's like the Jesuits. They say, "Give me the boy, and I'll give you the man, and they'll be mine for life." It's basically the same thing. I mean, these people, they offer absolutely no evidence for any of these statements. They make all these statements, and he uses the word fascist to describe us, i.e. the what I would call the centre right, not even far right. This article is full of the usual leftist cliches about dehumanisation, super predator, you can't be added to a gang database just because of your tattoos or the colour of your clothing. Well, the fact is that gangs identify each other by their tattoos, by the colours of their clothing. There was a film called Colours, which was about gangs and why they identify with a certain colour. I mean, the whole, these... you will appreciate that I have no time for these people. I studied sociology at a very low level, I have to say, and I thought it was a heap of crap. And in fact, to the degree that I just gave up with it, failed the exam, and have basically never thought about it since. But I mean, you've got things in sociology like Marxism is conflict theory, which says that society is based on the conflict between those that have the means of production and those that well, it's basically those that have the capital, the money, and those that actually do the work. But then you've also got functionalism, which says that society grows through sort of kind of organically, not through conflict, but through an organic kind of system. I mean, they're almost mutually exclusive. And yet they're both kind of foundations of sociological research. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Well done if you got this far, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers for now.